time. Hello, Fan Expo Canada! Do you see? The hairs on the back of my neck are standing up now. That was incredible. I demand nothing less for this entire panel. Boy, oh boy, we've got a treat for you today. Anyone ever heard of a little...
No. My third time, which is it's your first time
Yeah,
here.
my first time in
It's your
Toronto,
first time.
absolutely. And I learned that it's great to be here. I watched the YouTube special about things not to do when you're Toronto. And they said don't call it Toronto. So Toronto. It's great to be here in Toronto.
There's half a vowel in there somewhere. It's Toronto.
That's right, you gotta blast through it. So when you think of Toronto, I mean, maybe it's your first time, so you're off the hook, but for the others, what do you like about Toronto? Look, I said it the wrong way, and I'm from here. I'm trying to enunciate.
Great food city. Been eating very well every time I come here. And then I used to, as a kid, my family, we used to road trip up for Blue Jays games. We're a Yankees family, and so like when the Yankees were in town, we would like come up and we'd say,
Someone just booed the Yankees?
It's fair. We're coming for you. It's only like, 4.5 games? We're coming for you.
Well, fair enough. Shots fired. Anyone else besides the food, something special about Toronto?
Well, I shot a movie here a bunch of years ago called Take the Lead.
Yeah!
And so we were pretending to be New York, but we were in Toronto. And no, I had such a great time. I was here for like 4 months with the whole cast, and it was for people that don't know, it was like a dance movie. Thank you. With Antonio Banderas, and I was a dancer before I was an actor, so I was like big on the dance scene and the club scene. So I clubbed a lot. I told the whole cast like we have to battle everybody in Toronto. They said what? I'm like, we got to go out every night and we have to battle everybody in Toronto. And the cast was like, what are you talking about?
And if you lose any of those battles, they get your role.
Yeah.
They have to act in the movie.
Well,
they got you reshoots.
My concept, because I'm a b-boy, I'm like a battle dancer as I grew up. I said, when we do the dance scenes, all the dancers are going to be from Toronto. And they'll think we're just like these Hollywood kids that are out here. Like, but we got to let them know, like, we ain't punks. So we literally went to every club for several weeks and battled everybody.
How did you guys do?
We did pretty good. We were like win, lose, you know what I'm saying? B-boying, crumping, like we was just out in the streets.
We need a demonstration, Dante.
No. This is also 20 years ago. Yeah, I can get down. I'll see you at the club tonight.
We'll battle each of you individually.
We'll battle.
In your defense, this is carpet, so it's probably...
True. No railing, it's crazy.
Yes, but to your point, Toronto, I biked past New York City cab on Dundas Street yesterday. Toronto is often sort of the poor man's New York City from a filming perspective. We're a little bit cheaper.
Well, I was driving through some stuff earlier. Ooh, I feel like I got louder. I was driving through a part of the city earlier that felt like Queens. I felt like I was in Queens. I was like the
Queens Street.
Yeah.
We do.
Very cool.
Hey.
Yeah, it's weird things like my favorite sandwich shop back in the day, they're still around, it's called California Sandwiches.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, but I'm from California. And I'm like, these sandwiches are not from California. There's like a veal cutlet sandwich. It's like
California.
It's definitely not California. I'm like, well, how is this California? And I think it's franchised now, but the original one in the brick, let's go there afterwards.
100%. It's always funny when they do that, right? Like San Francisco, yada yada, and then you're like, which part?
Cheesesteaks.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, we're gonna go straight back to the beginning, folks. So, obviously the show has achieved some degree of success. Some of these people have heard of it before. Early on, because also recording that first season is quite a bit before production-wise, before it's released.
Yeah.
At what point did you start to realize in all of your trajectories with the show, Greg, I know you were a little later on, but when did you realize, hang on a minute, this is becoming like a cultural force?
Ooh. Okay, I mean, so there were many phases of it. I would say the feeling of like this is becoming a cultural force, that sort of never happened. Certainly not during production. I would say like we made the pilot and I was like, oh, this is a very cool, interesting show. I saw the pilot and was like, oh, this is awesome. We started reading the scripts and then like, I think it had to be like pretty far into season 1 before I kind of fully grasped how serialized it was going to be, how involved some of these arcs were going to be, the character journeys we were going to go on. That's when it started to be like, this is a special show. But even when you realize you're making a special show, you don't know, is it going to connect? Is it going to find its audience? Is that audience going to stay with it? So the feeling of like, this is actually like a cultural force is like, I don't know, years later is when you could kind of poke your head up.
Way later.
Yeah, way later.
Like maybe even like 3 years ago, maybe 2 years ago, last year, I don't know. I feel like I keep being like,
There
this
was
is a joke.
When we were standing back there and he was like, give it a 10, and we were like, oh, wow, it's something.
No, I know, like when we first started, I did get chills the first time I saw the intro.
Yeah.
I remember we were at a table reading, and I don't know, did May come in earlier and did it without us?
Yes.
And they did
Well,
the
it
whole...
would have been from the pilot, by the way.
Yeah, maybe from the pilot. They played it for us, and I was like, whoa, I was getting chills. But then you don't think, I mean, it was a cartoon, you guys. Like, I was like, this is a cartoon that we do for Nickelodeon. And I didn't think much of it. Matter of fact, I was here shooting the movie, take the lead, and I kept leaving the set, and one of my cast members was like, where are you going? I'm like, I'm doing this cartoon for Nickelodeon, and I'm like, he's like, what? And he's like, I'm like, I don't know, it's like this, it's like an Airbender show. He's, what? This guy's like 25. I'm like, you're an Avatar? I'm like, he's like, who are you? I'm like, I'm Zuko. He's like, you're the Fire Prince? It's like, that's my show. I'm like, dude, you're 25. And so that's when I started going, this is weird.
Yeah. I was in college at the time, and I was getting the same thing of like, once people my age were telling me secretly on the side that they were watching it, it was like, oh, something different's going on.
Yeah, I got a DM one time. This is when I realized, wow, there's something else going on here. It was, Mr. Baldwin, I'm so sorry to bother you. This is Ira specific, but my dad just died, and I was wanting to give me some Ira wisdom. And I'm going, this is above my pay grade. I don't know. But that was the first one. Oh my gosh, this show has resonated and is impacting people long beyond the actual run of the show.
Yeah, absolutely. I think now, sort of in 2025, there's more of an understanding of animation as high caliber entertainment, but you're right, maybe you think it's quote-unquote a children's cartoon, which I think we all know better in this room. There's sort of no such thing, but and speaking
If all the genocide wasn't a tip, but it wasn't just a children's show.
That's right.
We're sorry, Jack. We're sorry.
I'm gonna keep bringing this up, Dante.
I know. Tell the water tribe people, we're sorry.
Things just got out of hand. I'm sorry.
And speaking to that enormous fan base, we have some pretty interesting fans as well for the show. So one being Serena Williams, who ended up having cameos on the show.
Yeah.
Any other crazy connections where, Michelle Obama called you up and was like, by the way, love what you're doing?
No, it was just a text from Michelle.
Molly Ringwald came to our table. That was kind of cool. Yeah.
I don't know. I do kind of want to just sleuth. There's a lot of basketball players. I'm like blanking on their names, but like I find randomly, like the last year or two, it was like in the middle of like a season, and there'd be some comment or some like thing that they would do, just be like, you have a little Avatar, and I was like, oh, really? Cool. Maybe I should. I don't know. Try to like to do some funny top thing at a basketball game at some point. I don't know. But yeah.
I was at Comic-Con, I love Harry Potter, and Luna Lovegood, Evie Lynch was like across hall, and I told my person working with me, like, hey, go get a picture for me from Evie, because I love Harry Potter. And she came back and she was like, yo, she's such a big fan of Avatar. I was like, what? And then we ended up having dinner, like her and her boyfriend at the time, and she was explaining how big of an Avatar fan she was. And she was like, check this out, I painted this picture. I said, what? She said, her and her boyfriend, yeah, we painted this thing. And they showed me, it was like this big painting of her and her boyfriend, and he was like an airbender, and she was Fire Nation. And I was like, wow, you're that kind of fan? I'm like, I have a Gryffindor scarf. But we became really good friends, and I just love it. She's a firebender, so.
Corbin Blue and his wife Sasha are also big Avatar fans, and I was like behind them in line in a green room in Kansas. It's so crazy. Anyway, and so I was like, hey, trying to be chill. I was like, just want to let you know, as we're like getting our tacos. I'm like a big fan of like I grew up, I love your singing over dancing. And they're like, we love Avatar, and I was like, really? And I was like, yay! I was such a big fan of you. It was great.
I love that secret society surprise where like you have the Avatar handshake or something. Were you gonna add something?
Oh no, I'm a huge fan of Breaking Bad, and I met Walt Jr. And Walt Jr., that was another situation where he was like, oh my God, you're Uncle Iroh, I love that show. It's like Breaking Bad is my favorite show, Avatar's my favorite show.
That's the crossover we need and deserve.
Without a doubt.
How do you make that happen?
Sokka starts a cactus juice business. He's finding the purest cactus juice, distributing it.
It was a good deep cut. So with folks like that, like with Serena, I know one of the things with animated work a lot of the time is you are doing recordings at separate times, maybe even remotely. Did you get to work together much, and did you get to work with any of the guest stars?
Yeah, the show was mostly recorded in like little pods, depending on like who had more stuff with each other for a given episode. With the big exception of Zach, who was the voice of Aang, was based out of New York, so we literally never recorded with him once the entirety of the show. I met him at the rap party.
His voice was in the air many times.
Sometimes they would play
He'd
back.
be like, hi you guys, we're like, how's New York? Zach, everything's good, okay.
Yeah. He's got Little League after this. He's got.
Hope you win, get a hit.
Yeah. But so like in that case, any chemistry there, any like vibe we had with each other was pretty much created by Andrea Romano, who was our unbelievable voice director. She sort of pulls together the performances to create that chemistry. But in other cases,
We all work together
Yeah, we
a
work
lot.
together a lot.
We
Um,
saw, I mean,
Yeah, I saw you guys pretty.
you were very young.
So were you.
I was younger.
Yeah, you were 11 when you were cast,
She was
right?
super young.
As Meng, I was 11, and then Toph was 12 and 13.
That's right.
Right.
It's locked in. Everything's very timelined. Like season 2 was 12, season 3 was 13. I remember.
What were you all doing when you were?
She was young, and her name was Jessie. She was Jessie Flowers on the call sheet, like Jessie Flowers playing Toph. But then she was like, "That's my stage name," and we're in the booth. And I was like, "Well, what's your real name?" And she said, "Michaela Murphy." And I was like, "What?"
People kept saying
I-
it wrong and spelling it wrong.
I know, but I'm like literally in the booth, like, "You guys, her real name is Michaela Murphy. That
Well,
is
we're
the
back
most
now.
beautiful name I've heard in a long time."
Well, I appreciate it. My mother does too. But people kept calling me Mashallah.
I know, I get it.
And just like, I got straight up Michaels all the time because people just wouldn't get the
I
A. And
get it.
Mishael and Mikael. And I was like, can we just not? And so I was like, Jessie. We're just going to be Jessie. It was 2002
That's
or
true.
whatever. And I was like, let's make a cool name. But I do like my name. We're back now.
We're back. This is good.
We're back.
Was that complicated? Did you have to go like retroactively recredit everything, or you just kind of let it go?
No, I've just dug myself a hole.
Alias.
I just live here now. No, I've made a rule that I sign as whatever my name is in the credits. Because when you're watching the credits and watching a show, you want to have the name it's in the credits. And, it was kind of a different era. Like that, I was Jessie Flower. Like that 10-year, 12-year span of me as like a kid actor. It was Jessie Flower. That was me. I was signing my eye with a little flower. So when you see that little scribble above the eye, that's like a little flower. That's what it is. I had a whole thing. Anyway, so yeah, I've made the choice now that people ask all the time, and I've accepted it. It's just my fate. And now I can't have any more names, but I also want to do music, and I'm like, maybe I should change my name.
Maybe it's how you signal each stage of your career.
I like the identities. It's fun. Like when you go out sometimes, and you're like, tonight I'm Victoria. And it's just
I don't know how that.
You have
They
an
do
accent,
that.
and you just talk like this all the time, and you're Victoria, and that's just how it works. And you're just like, oh, hello. So like, can you get me a drink, please? Thanks, thank you. And it's
And
just
in
fun.
that bar in the corner, Dante's battling someone.
Battling somebody. It gets weird. I get my cousin my ID in the bar, and they said, "Hey, you're not Dante Basco." I was like, "Sorry, cousin. I thought I'd get you in, but I know that bouncer, so it's fine."
So the co-creators of the show, we're going to come back to the name, and specifically the flower in the eye. I'm curious about that. The co-creators of the show said one of their inspirations was Princess Mononoke, the fantastic, yes, insert applause here, fantastic Ghibli film. Did you watch any other shows or films to help you get prepared for sort of the world? Did the directors recommend you watch anything to get the tone?
I think the trickiest thing about being, well, not the trickiest, but one of the things that can be interesting is like you can't really, force yourself to be like what someone's looking for. And I feel like when you arrive in the audition room or in the callback room or booking the job, like you can kind of feel the energy of the script or maybe like the character. but you can't like curate too much. Like you can kind of absorb and maybe take classes, maybe you do like an acting workshop, maybe you get a degree in writing and acting, whatever. But once you're doing it, all of that fades away and you're just kind of existing in like reality. So I feel like we weren't over processing too much
At all.
information. Yeah,
The
no.
other thing is like, yeah, now this is an important show. Like we look back now 20 years later, like, yeah, this was such an important show. But when we were doing it, it was, Trevor, believe me, this was like, we were just gigging. We were working, and it was cool. And it's, I get to do the podcast with Janet Varney, Breaking the Elements, where we get to go back and look at, very unique experience for an actor to go back and look at stuff. And it's cool because it's like, has that feeling of like, I was telling Janet, like, you're looking back and like, look how cool we were in high school. The thing is, when you're in high school, you're not supposed to know how cool you are. Because if you know you're cool.
I was not cool in
but
high
when
school.
you're cool, you know you're cool, like you're probably a jerk and it's not cool. But when you look back, you go, that was such a significant time in life, but you didn't know that back then. That's how the show was. It was like, it's great to look back and wow, you were part of a masterpiece that we didn't know we were making.
It's just authentic.
And if you think too much about it while you're making
Yeah,
it,
the people that were making a
break-
masterpiece, then you go, that wasn't a masterpiece.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't like to bandy the word art about too much, but actually sometimes happily art does get made, and this show was art without a doubt. You know.
Absolutely, I love that. I've heard some of you talk before about how fun it is to do sort of the exertions you have to do, the non-lines of dialogue for voiceover work. So yeah, how do you capture that? How do you make it sound diverse so it's not the same like oof 3,000 times?
That's a good
Well,
question.
most frequently we were able to do it two picture. Usually we would do that at the end. So we come in, we record all the episodes, they go, they animate them, and then we come back and do ADR for all of the action sequences and the exertions. So a lot of the variation comes from, you know, the variation in the animation. You get to see that they've done something very specific here. And then for me, it was incredibly freeing because I felt like I wasn't, I never had to do them seriously. I never had to like, it was very rarely, there were moments, but very rarely was it like, okay, here's Sokka like full focus, heart of battle, we just gotta really feel the warrior thing. It's like moments, but most of it was like, and then you fall down, and you can just go,
So that was for you.
Yeah, well, yes. But first of all, when you're recording, there's sitters and there's standers. I'm a stander. Stander. So
I was a sitter at that age. I've become a stander because I need to keep my, like, I had so much energy at 15 that I had to sit to retain it, and now it's like I need to stand to get channel.
Yeah. So we're standers when you're doing all this stuff, but we're also like kung fu masters for moments.
Yes.
Vocally. Although we did study, like they brought Sifu Kisu in early in the game, and we learned like the styles of what the elements were doing. I actually studied a little bit with Sifu Kisu. He'd like to teach. He taught a class. I was like, I'll take it. Well, and so I don't know. You kind of get that kind of what you're doing in your mind, and then one of the great things about acting is, and especially voice acting, and sometimes you forget this when you're doing on-screen acting, is play and the improv. And every time you go to acting class, you're just kind of in the moment. That's what you are. You're a firebender. You can do all this stuff, and you're gonna do it right now. So just do it, and you have to like go there in your mind, like, yes, I actually can do all this kung fu, and I'm gonna show you with my mouth. It's pretty fun. I mean, they have videos of us doing some of the stuff in the room. I've knocked over the mic. They're like, Dante's really getting
I'm
into
still
it.
pretty grounded, I don't know.
Let's segue that into sort of improv and method acting. So you're saying like when you're doing some of the moves, sometimes you do them a bit in the booth. I just spoke to a voice actor who, I don't know if anyone was at this panel, accidentally knocked himself out. Trying to do, they were like, okay, you're getting strangled by this monster. And he was like, yeah, we're doing it. And passed out in the booth. So you almost, okay, tell me, so you've almost broken a microphone. Any like disasters in the booth?
I've had to like hyperventilate on mic, and turns out there's no way to do that other than hyperventilate. And That need a while.
I don't know. Am I just like comfortable in the space? I don't know. I'm trying to think of, no.
I like out of deference to you to be diplomatic. Maybe I've done that. And she's like, I've never done that.
No, I don't know. I feel like I don't know about any of y'all, but I definitely have plenty of anxiety. And especially when it comes to like first auditions and first impressions, I'm like, but if I have the job and I know that I'm what they want, I usually come in, and there were lots of takes that we did of Tough where we used the first take. And so I come in like ready. Like if I know I'm good, I'm like locked and I'm ready to do it. So like I don't know. I think I read a little bit of script ahead of time, and then I just like, the weird thing about also voice acting, you can't move your head around too much, right? Because if you're like doing this with your face, then obviously you're gonna mess up the sound. So I got really used to like parking my neck in my head, and then I'd just be like, yeah, and like not move anything else. So I guess that helped. I don't know. I haven't had any like crazy.
I don't know. I talk too fast.
That's boring.
If Mabel Whitman was here,
Me too.
she'd make fun of me.
Slow.
Because I've worked with Maids for so long, and she's such a pro at voice acting. She did voice acting since she was like nothing, right?
5.
And we did, before Avatar, we were at the same time we were doing Jake Long, the American Dragon. Shout out to Jake. And I was beginning to voice act, and I don't know, I get excited, so I talk too fast, and I always gotta go back. They're like, stop, Dante, we can't understand you. I'm like, my bad. So can we slow down? Can you do that again slower? I think that's my direction
I
every
think that's
time.
why I still keep voicing kids, because I feel you. The slow down was like the top note all the time.
Slow down.
And even still, I'm just like, okay, but if I talk really fast, then I can be like a 5-year-old, yeah? And it's just like, okay, it's too much. Like, how am I supposed to calm down after that? I don't know.
You know, it's interesting you talk about. I find, because I was 46 when I was cast as Iroh, and Mako, I believe he was like 72 or 73 when he passed away. And I do find, you know, in terms of, you can still do the voice of a little kid. When I was a young man, I was affecting the voice of an old man, and I do find that as I'm 65 now, or I will be in about a month, as I actually now am an old man, my voice is now much more authentically old.
You've got a lot of practice, though, from when you were
Got 64
earlier.
years of practice and counting, man.
So speaking of ages, Dante, the role of Zuko was originally written as an adult character and then changed to a teenager because producers thought that a younger sort of villain type character would be scarier, which a lot of the time can be true. You played... Well, listen, there's a nuance, we'll get there. A complicated, yes, character. You've played this kind of character before, famously for some of us, including me, I think is Rufio and Hug. Rufio, can we start the chant? Justice for Rufio. Anyway, what is the key to making a likable sort of villain type character or more complicated character that the audience still relates to?
I don't know what the key is. I think, what's interesting is like, I've been a teenager for many decades. I've been a teenager for a long time.
It's tough.
I'm still a teenager in some people's minds. I'm not. I just think, I don't know the key. I don't know what the deal is. I've kind of like been cast as like a bad boy turned good so many times. But I think maybe that's part of my life. I don't know. I'm a good guy.
Have you turned good by now?
I am good. I've done some things, but I'm good. So I think ultimately it's just like, the special thing about Zuko is I didn't know he was going to be good. I actually really, when I was signed on to do the project, I thought he was going to be the villain. I thought it was cool. I didn't know it was cool. I thought his hair was weird. And I didn't know what the scar was about. I was just like, I actually was like, oh, it's going to be cool. Like, I'll be the hero on Disney and I'll be the villain on Nickelodeon. And then once I found out how he got that scar, then I was like, oh, this is interesting. Whoa, who's this guy? And so he's just one of those things where Zuko's probably the best just example of understanding like what is behind who you think the villains are. And to me, it's been such a big lesson in life. The people that we may think are the villains in our life can be our biggest, friends or helpers.
Did they tip you early about the scar? Did they tell you what that was, or did you
No,
find out
I
when
don't
it
think they
came
didn't tell me anything. I don't remember anything about doing the show. It's such
Me
a
neither.
fun. I remember doing the show, and I thought it was all cool, but they didn't. There wasn't like a secret meeting, like, hey, this
Just
is
so you know, this
Just
is
so
what we're
you
gonna
know.
get to. And they were like,
no, because I
they
remember
didn't tell you that
reading the
you were-
scripts.
Yeah.
Especially May was like, did you read the script last week? I'm like, yeah, like what? I'm like, I know.
Yeah, and we would get them like the night before the record,
Sure,
so you're
sure.
like frantically prepping.
Reading
and-
it.
Yeah.
And this is back in the day, you guys, where like it was before there wasn't really email. They would FedEx you a script early in the week, and then you make your notes on it. You go over it, and you come to the reading, and we like, did you? That script is crazy. And then we just throw that script away on the way out the
Not all of us.
door. We didn't, like I said, we didn't know this was going to be an important show.
You could get that on eBay for a couple
We would
grand now.
have had the whole. Zach has all the
Just
scripts.
busted out some original scripts.
My script-
one for sure. I've got a few.
Really? My script, when we walked out of the booth, went into the garbage.
I took the Brads out.
Right, with all the
clips,
notes.
I kept the Brads.
Well, I was like, all my notes, all the notes they were yelling at me to say this slower and all my things, and just in the garbage. I wish I had those scripts. Oh,
It's college.
I paid for my kids' college, second my motorcycle, something.
Truly. Keep everything. I know nothing is on paper anymore. By the way, I just locked eyes with that character.
I did. Who is? I know
We gotta
that
do
person.
insurance over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, to do
That's
Is that Beaker from the Muppets?
It looks like Beaker. That's what I thought it was.
Is it Judas first? I thought it was Beaker.
It's
Yeah.
It
It's
is
confirmed. But you're related to Beaker. You don't know it.
I just wanted to make sure people knew you were allowed to be here, because I did feel frightened for 1 second. But I think we're fine. Greg, let's jump over to you. So you alluded, or you mentioned a couple minutes ago about Mako, who you took over for. Of course, legendary voiceover actor and actor Michael Uematsu. Yes, please. So I've read a fascinating story about you as a fan of Pacific Overtures had been imitating Mako's voice long before you had the opportunity to step in. So I'm curious about how you, having done that, crafted a voice that felt like a tribute and not sort of an imitation. What was the secret to that?
I think even though, I was desperately trying, usually all you have to go on is the words that the writers give you and the direction the director gives you, But I also had this other third party, this Mako Iwamatsu, sort of standing behind me the whole way. So when I was actually recording, my whole impetus was just try to sound like Mako. But I do think you can't help but have your own personality creep into it, even though technically I was just trying to voice match him as much as I could. But yeah, there's definitely moments I think where I do, and it's not something I did, on purpose. Not something I think it just slips in, internally. It happens that way. But even today, I will still watch. Specifically, as a rule, I'm very critical of my own work. I think most people are. I don't like listening to myself. But I am very proud of the Zuko forgiveness scene, the I was never angry with you. But every time I watch that scene, to this day, I still go, oh man, I wonder what Mako would have done with this scene. I bet, it would have been different, undoubtedly. And I think that's also, and I think fans know this. I have been a fan of the man since 1977. I have done nothing, I hope very much. I never met him. The internet, believe it or not, is wrong about some things. I actually never met Mako. I look forward to meeting him, not today. But when I do finally get up there and we're sharing tea together at last, and he'll say, I hope he says, Greg, I thank you for honoring my life and my legacy. I hope he doesn't say, the executive who hired you at Nickelodeon should be fired. I'm either going to get Iroh or Aku. So I hope I get Iroh.
Well, I heard as well that his family came and saw you do some of the recording, and they were pretty moved by the way you
They
captured
did. It was the next to last recording session for Samurai Jack. And I signed in at Cartoon Network, and I noticed someone had signed in ahead of me as Mako. And I thought, well, that's weird, or kind of a sick joke. What's going on with that? And I walked back to the green room, and Gendy Tartakovsky, the creator of the show, said, hey, Greg, come here, there's somebody I want you to meet. This is Mako's daughter and grandson, who is also named Mako. And I'm going, I wish you would have told me this before. Give me a heads up, Gendy. Because it's one thing to try to impersonate the voice of a beloved actor. It's another thing altogether to try to impersonate the voice of someone's beloved father who's passed away. So I was kind of freaking out, So I hope she doesn't hate it. And Phil Lamar, I could not see her from my perspective in the booth, but Phil Lamar could. And he said the minute I started speaking, his daughter just sort of leaned back in her chair and looked up like this. And after the session, she came up to me immediately and gave me a hug and said, "Thank you so much." It was like he was in the room again. And I remember thinking at that time, you know, I have received a life I never imagined I would have had because of this man. And it made me feel so good to feel like I'd given this family back just a little something. Because I remember thinking, oh man, even if it's an imperfect impression, what I wouldn't give to hear an imperfect impression of my own father's voice. So it really was. It was a lovely moment, and it was a nice way of them sort of giving me their tacit approval, you know.
That's beautiful. Now, a lot of you have been working video games, voiceovers for video games. For example, Greg, I think he voiced Frank Fontaine in BioShock, one of my favorites. Come on. Dante, now you stream on Twitch, I believe is this right? So we got some gamers here, and what are you playing, if so?
I play one game. I play League of Legends.
Toxic!
Yeah, someone's like, I know it's not toxic community, you know. I play Jinx is my main. Ash, Jinx, Ash. You know, I go back and forth. But yeah, I play League of Legends. See you on the riff.
There you go, shots fired again.
I exclusively play deck building roguelikes. I have so many, I have an absurd amount of hours into Slay the Spire and Balatro. Those are my
I am boring. I'm sorry. I didn't grow up with like cable or gaming or anything. It was just expensive and screens, and my mom was like, library books outside. That is, which
Never
I guess
heard
makes
of them.
sense for
Never
Tom.
heard of them. Just kidding.
Yeah, so I did have a Game Boy Color, though, if we can recall that, and I did have a Super Mario Brothers game, and I played their children, the crap, there we go, out of that game, and I think I ended up like winning or whatever, but like I was in the back with like the little light and just like furiously playing, and that was like what I was allowed to have, and then like a couple computer games. Do you guys remember, oh gosh.
Oregon Trail.
Oh, that was fun, but I didn't play that one a lot. I didn't like that one. Did any of you play Pajama Sam? Yes? Okay, so like we're at Carmen San Diego, Pajama Sam, and like, was it Putt Putt? Like little car? Yeah! So yeah, that's what I did. And then recently, I feel like I didn't get into the games early enough, and now everyone knows everything, and I don't. And so I've played like a couple like Mario Kart or whatever, Mario Party. But
Yeah,
like,
of course.
I don't know all the League of Legends and all this stuff. I
It's
did
good
like
games. Try
Echo
League of
World of
Legends.
Final Fantasy, which was fun.
Yeah.
So like that was a cute little thing. But yeah, I just feel like I'm so detached now that I'm like, oh, it's too much.
Well, here's the great thing about a Fan Expo crowd. No matter what niche game you say you played, someone's going to be like, love it.
Where my Maven Beacon teaches typing?
Yes.
I know you guys love playing Pong, right? Pong?
I'm actually in a new game called Date Everything. So some people we've dated some people. And actually, so there's this new game. Do you know this game?
Yeah, heck yeah.
I'm the fireplace. and the character's name is Dante.
Of course you are.
The character's name is Dante. I was like, you guys, this is too on the nose. But so I'm dating. So some of us have dated. You did? I don't know. I'm still while we were recording. I was like, what? Who am I? Like Robbie Dave. It's like all these. They did. I'm like, you're the fireplace, bro. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Strange. So we'll date sometime.
Wow, that's fun. I've never seen an offer like that from the Fan Expo stage. And yourself, did you ever play BioShock?
You know, I have to admit, I literally, because I grew up in a world without video games.
Sure.
So I don't play a lot of video games. The only game that I have played is, and really it's the only game I play exclusively, is Civilization. I've been playing I love those games. But my kids last Christmas, they were like, Dad, you voice these games and you don't play them. We're going to give you the games that you've never played and you can play them, you know? And the first one I started playing was Fallout 4. And the kid said, oh, and by the way, Dad, your character is killable in Fallout 4. And I'm like, well, how do you know? And I'm like, well, because every time we see it, we always kill you. So I don't know whether that even says, it says something about me as a father of his children, but I do know that when I get to my character in Fallout 4, I'm going to kill myself.
Beautiful family story. Thank you for sharing that. We're going to move over to some fan questions that were pre-submitted. This is a juicy one. If you could master one of the 4 elements, water, earth, fire, or air, in real life, which one would you choose?
Our nation, what are we talking about?
Of course.
Fire nation.
I was preparing myself for a lot juicier, I'm not gonna lie. I was nervous.
It's a softball, yeah.
I'm gonna try to sound very noble and caring and say that I would pick water tribe, healing.
But secretly...
Blood is so bad.
It's so
But
bad.
I think it's
The healer, in Korra, because in the podcast we've gone through it, and when Korra went out and the Fire Nation brought her back, there's Fire Nation healers also. We're not talked about, lesser known healers in the Avatarverse. Fire Nation healers.
Yes.
I feel like if I have to pick one, I feel like Earth is like the most helpful because I could build my own home in this economy. And it's just helpful. Like you could literally move mountains for someone, which is kind of romantic, you know what I mean? So I like Earth is great. And water, yes, is very necessary in healing. It's helpful. But like I'm at that point. I feel like many of us are. I'm like, will I ever own a home? So I could just build one.
I would say I would go with air, but at my age, knee bending is what I could really do. That would come very handy.
Mic drop. We
Really
love
good at
that.
wrist bending as well. Really good with the wrist.
Yeah, I've mastered elbow bending. That I'm
Knee bending. Okay, which biome specifically, which of the 4 nations would you want to live in and why?
Bossing says.
yeah, Bossing Say.
Bossing Say is great.
Or bossing slay.
I love it. I love Ember Island.
Amber Island.
I'm an island.
Amber Island.
You know, I mean, I'm just 24/7. I'm a prince, so I have multiple
Are
homes.
you now? Are you a prince?
Huh?
Oh, but Firelord.
Go on,
Firelord.
Amber Island. It's
We
nice.
have many homes. The big ones have a lot of homes.
You know, we listen.
Not too cool.
I don't know about you guys. You have an igloo?
Right by the ocean. Right by the beach.
Oh my god, I just want to let you guys cook. You just got your own fire. This is great. Okay, what lesson or philosophy from Avatar The Last Airbender has had the biggest impact on your life? Maybe a message from the show?
I mean, for me, it's the whole show. It's the community. This whole thing. I mean, we talked about earlier about the cultural kind of impact it's had, and it didn't really happen until after COVID. It's a very strange thing. Like, it was popular for this time, and it was very important for its time for a certain generation. And then COVID happened, and we all got locked down, and like the world was ending, or that time of the world ended, and then a new world began, and people watched Avatar. And then when the world opened back up again, I was at New York City Comic Con, and it was crazy. It's like hundreds of thousands of people walking around, and we're signing autographs for hours. And then this one guy rolled up, and he was like, yeah, I'm signing this stuff, and he's like, you know, I gotta thank you because I grew up with you. I'm like, yeah, we all grew up together. That's great. He goes, no, you don't understand. I go, what? He goes, you programmed our generation. And I said, what? He goes, you guys programmed our generation. He goes, why do you think we're the generation that brought protests back? Black Lives Matter movement, Me Too movement. We're trying to get the world back in balance. That's the lesson. It's the community is so beautiful, and I don't know, it's humbling to be a part of it.
And this coming from the guy who threw his scripts in the trash.
Yeah, I wish I saved those scripts.
That story is really cool. I feel like I'd forgotten about it until we were at San Diego a couple weeks ago, and you mentioned it again, and I was like, dang, that's just so cool. Actually, you know, if you want to share one of your favorite Iro lines, that is actually one of my favorite pieces of, I don't know, philosophy from the show. That's one of my favorites.
Which line?
Well, it's technically from Korra.
Korra, yeah.
As you say.
I'm like, Iro, Iroism is going to eventually become a religion, I think. It would not surprise
Our
me.
Uncle Phil of the
Memo to me,
Avatar.
start religion when I get back. I think that's a good idea. But there's so much, the line that really resonated with me, and there's so many of them, I've been so grateful because I've memorized a lot of them. And although I am not as wise as Iro, I'm only as wise as an ordinary 64-year-old would be. And if you're not a little wise by 64, you haven't been paying attention. But by memorizing Iro's wisdom, it has undoubtedly made me wiser and made me a much better human being. And the time it really, really jumped out at me, because this was indeed during COVID, and my wife and I lived in LA for 30 years, kids were grown, I was born in New Mexico, and we said, you know what, we're gonna move back to New Mexico, have a chiller life, it's close to California, we can come and go when we need to. And everything was great, we sold our house in Burbank, we arrived in New Mexico on March 1st, 2020. 2 weeks later, the world shut down, and I was freaking out. You know, I remember sort of like, you know what, I can't watch the news anymore, I gotta go outside and go for a walk. And I went for a walk in this area, my new hometown that I didn't even know. And literally my inner monologue is I'm going, my God, I have a daughter on the West Coast and a son on the East Coast, and there's no toilet paper, and we're all gonna die, and it's a terrible thing. And I heard some birds singing, and I very, very clearly heard the line from Korah in my head. If you look for the light, you will often find it. If you look for the dark, that is all you will ever see. And from that point on, during COVID and beyond, that's sort of been everyone has an Iro line that they sort of fall back on to get them through tough times. And even today when I'm having a bad day, that's the line that I get back to. Because, and I love, and it's, on its surface, it's just a very fancy way of saying, hey, you stay positive. But it involves a choice. Life is around us. Even at night, you can look up and you can see the stars. So that's just sort of been one way, certainly a very tangible way in which the show and Uncle Ira specifically have touched my own life.
Fantastic. Perfect. Chef's kiss. Before we say goodbye to them, can we put our hands together for our fantastic ASL interpreters here? Excellent. And, come on, 4 class acts. Please put your hands together for Dante Basco, Jack